Oh my gosh, you won't believe it. Somebody commented on my video and disagreed with something I did on the internet. I'm never going to be able to be the same. This is just, the drama is real. Tell all to everybody, and it's not really that deep. So someone did disagree with something I did in a video. But hello, every guppy. My name is Pisces, and I'm a professional Dead by Daylight coach on Fiverr. The video that someone disagreed with was my second coaching video that I have on my channel, where I talk about distance and why distance is literally everything in Dead by Daylight. And they had an argument that I liked, but not for my video. All right, post-production Pisces here. I want to mention two things. One, the video that he's talking about, I had a lot of chases that were just me in a 1v1 in a private match. To help you with this context. And two, the way he brought his argument was no name calling. It was very much a fair argument that he had a feeling, he explained it, and I thought it was nice that he did that, and it was respectful. It wasn't saying I was trash, it wasn't saying I was a terrible coach. He was just trying to make an argument why my chases weren't good for the video, and so that was the whole point of this. So anyways, let's keep going. Like, they had a good opinion, but I'm going to explain it, and I think it'd be cool to have like a healthy conversation and set a precedent for how I plan to how I plan to, react to some things like this, and how I kind of like criticism like this, because it makes me think, okay, was there something bad about my coaching? And I don't get these a lot, so I'd like to know, what's going on. So here, let's go ahead and read it. I'm going to read it in its entirety first, and then I'm going to kind of break down the arguments I think don't make sense. And we'll go on with that. So he says, I'm going to be honest, showing a chase where all the resources are up and showing you drop almost every single pallet on the map isn't really a good example of how to take chase. You're taking that chase with the knowledge that you know for a fact where the pallets are ahead of time without the use of windows of opportunity. In an average mid-game chase, more often than not, at least in solo queue, you are guessing which pallets have not been used. Your chase here would have been significantly different and likely shorter, yes, if you didn't know for certain that every pallet was available. After that, they say, I'm not talking about recognizing which tiles spawn pallets in certain locations. I'm talking about how in a real game, you rarely know if a pallet is still there or if it's been used. So when this argument would be fair is if I put up a video saying I had a real chase in a 4v1 game where they tunneled me the whole match, and I had all this to my advantage, and somehow I had everyone on my team tell me where all the tiles are beforehand. I don't think this is relevant for my video, because in my video, my points were to make two things: distance gained when you use a window or pallet, and then how to manage your distance properly by how you run in the loop. So like making sure you take the shortest path, not running wide around corners, and not getting stuck on stuff, and not taking any bad routes or anything like that. So the argument here is, that my chases are invalid because they weren't real, essentially. Like, they weren't in a real game, and they weren't in a situation where I didn't know anything about the loops. That's kind of like saying your practice in track and cross country is irrelevant because you weren't running a race. It's like, not really, because I can't always, for one, I can't find everything I need for footage and exactly everything I need to teach in a real game. I also don't like playing DBD anymore. I just like talking about looping because I think looping is cool and the concept is cool, but there's so much around DBD that is like not looping that makes it not fun to me that I don't play. And so I would just be miserable getting footage, but I mean, I don't need to take a 100% organic chase to kind of represent these points. So that's my argument behind that. But however, I like some of the things they're saying because there is some fairness. Like, he's right about saying things like in a normal game, there are things you won't know, like where pallets are. You also won't have everything on the map, which is true. And, I'm not trying to say that my chase is legitimately the best chase ever. And I'm not trying to say that, this is a real chase and everything about this is exactly what you're going to experience in a game. Like, no, of course not. But if I want to make a video on, looking out for where your teammates are, paying attention to what pallets might be used based on where your teammates got downed, paying attention to, what killer it is and how to counter them at this tile. I didn't do any of that because that was not the focus of the video. But if I did do that and all I did was use it private match chases, that would be really stupid. And I would definitely agree with this comment. I want to also hit on this specifically because even if my teammates do use pallets or windows, if they use just pallets, I have a pretty solid idea of which ones they used. I can judge by how long my player's been alive and how long they've been in chase, like just by generally seeing, if I don't see the killer anywhere near me And then after a minute and a half, our teammate finally goes down after getting hit. And I've never seen him anywhere on the map. I've never seen crows fly up, nothing. Then I have a general idea that that is probably an area, if it's been a minute and a half, that is probably an area where there are at least a few pallets gone. So next time I take a chase there, I will only act like every pallet is gone, and unless there is a really favorable reason not to. And while I'm running the chase, I will look around. I'll be like, okay, like as I'm running the places like windows that I know are there, or like in loops, like, okay, I see that jungle gym's way across the map, so there's at least a window in it. And so I'm gonna run around that whenever I'm in a chase over there. And then as I'm running around it and looking at the killer, I'm also gonna look around my surroundings and make sure, okay, has he used any pallets over here or any of these open, you know, things like that. And then I won't risk anything accordingly. Or maybe like when I take a hit in that area, I'll just assume there's no pallets and leave and go to an area where I haven't seen anyone loop and make sure that my resources are still there. And so yes, like on average, my time for length of chase would decrease, which that part of the argument is fair, and I think that's cool. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is go into a real match, and I'm gonna pick a completely random map. So here's the proof that it's a random map. I have my killer. The killer is playing Wraith, and he's gonna have Lethal Pursuer, and he's gonna basically find me immediately and start chase. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close my eyes, look away. I'm gonna look away when the map loads in, and then once I finish hearing the sound of the match starting, I'm going to look around and try to figure out what map it is and show you that if you know the map RNG well enough, like you could recognize what map you're on and use it to loop with while running in your chase, looking for what's available and what's not mid-chase. But anyway, here it goes. So post-production Pisces here. My intent with this part of the video is to prove that it is possible that if you know the maps well enough, that you can identify loops from far away further than windows of opportunity, which is one of his major points. And even when you just started, you don't even have to read the map name. Like I can find out what map I'm on and I'll know exactly where my wall spawns are, which are my guaranteed options. And then all I have to do is look around to see where my possible options are. All right, we're on Fractured Cowshed, which is kind of convenient. Now I gotta figure out where you're at. I hear you behind me. All right, perfect. So I've got a jungle gym here. And I'm going to, okay, I already know what version of it is. I convince you to follow me through pallet side, so I make the vault. I'm gonna use that to transfer to the other wall spawn that's on the way to Shack. I haven't even seen Shack yet, but I already know where it is. Unfortunately, this is a pallet gym, so I'm gonna have to use this. And now that you kicked it, I can transfer to Shack. And so obviously this won't count as, you know, a chase mid-game with resources that could be used. But this is just to show you that you can absolutely figure out the map and what's left. So that's a pallet gym in front of me. I can see the pallet still in it, and if I didn't get to use that, I could use that pallet. There could be another one in this loop up here, but I doubt it. And I don't think I should have done an extra lap here. Maybe if I path perfectly? No. I'll just use it and keep going anyway. Probably shouldn't have, should just took the hit and ran. So that's a misplay. But now look, I've already done a lap around the entire map. So in one chase, I could do a lap around the entire map as long as I know what I'm looking for and see what every single resource is left over. You can do that naturally in any chase. He's still cloaked looking for me right now. And now I know that there's a pallet here I didn't even pay attention to last time. You know where I'm at? Here. Oh, there you are. Alright. Nice. Now there's a couple corner tiles I don't know if they have pallets or not, but because I've seen so many filler pallets shown in, there's an algorithm that I know won't allow some pallets to show up if there's already too many, so I'm going to go ahead and assume they're dead zones. I left the area. Yeah. Oh, I didn't, I was spamming space but I didn't get the prompt, but yeah. So yeah, real quick, I mean, you can see how you can use the whole map to your advantage as long as you know the RNG, so that's it. That's all I wanted to show.